He had transmigrated into a boys' love novel, as the scummy ex-husband alpha of the main character bottom. Every day he performed his assigned role with diligence, bullying the protagonist. The protagonist worked tirelessly to support the household, while he idled away the days, mooching off the other's labor. The protagonist managed all the chores with care, while he lay on the couch nitpicking, offering no help. In his spare time, he found even more things to criticize. Chief among them, the fact that the protagonist was just a beta. Everything was moving along according to the plot. And then, as scheduled, the main character Top returned from abroad. He filed for divorce without hesitation, just as the story demanded. But that night, something went wrong. He found himself tied down to the bed, his limbs bound tight. The protagonist, the one he had always called useless, inferior, subhuman, was pressing down on him hard, his eyes dark with something unreadable. A low, mocking voice leaned close to his ear and whispered, "Didn't you know, darling? Welcome to History Channel. Subscribe to follow all our latest adventures." Story begins. When Jackie Norton came home, it was already past 9. After cleaning up and taking a shower in the guest bathroom, he finally stepped into the bedroom. The moment he crossed the doorway, he dropped to his knees with practiced ease, both hands holding up a leather belt. "I'm sorry, sir. I came home late." That was one of the rules I'd set for him. Every night before 9, he had to be home. Every week, he had to dedicate one full day to serving me, completely and without distraction. If he failed, there was only one consequence: kneeling on the floor and taking the belt. Jackie had always been obedient. He'd rarely been punished before. But lately, something had changed. Too many dinners. Too many business obligations. Punishment had become routine. I took the belt from his hands, the cool metal buckle grazing my palm. He kept his eyes lowered, long lashes casting soft shadows beneath them. He'd gotten thinner. His shoulder blades showed faintly through his sleep shirt when he knelt, sharp outlines beneath fragile skin. That wasn't right. I told myself it wasn't supposed to be this way. He was the protagonist bottom, the fragile beauty meant for the soon-to-return main alpha, not for me, the expendable ex-husband in this story. Steadying my breath, I lifted his chin with the tip of the belt. "Do you know what time it is?" 9:27. "Then you know the rule," I said, flicking my wrist. The belt cut through the air with a harsh, clean crack. 27. "Count them yourself." His lashes trembled, but his voice remained calm and precise. "Yes, sir." The belt struck his back. Once, then again, dull and biting. He stayed upright, silent except for the rare muffled breath that slipped through his teeth. Something in me twisted, restless. My hand jerked. The belt veered off course, striking the back of his neck, right where his scent gland was. It shouldn't have mattered, his was vestigial, barely there. But he flinched violently, his body folding forward. 17. His face was hidden, but his trembling gave him away. And suddenly I felt nothing. "How typical of a beta," I said coldly. "Not soft and yielding like an omega, not strong like an alpha. Just dull. Even getting punished, you're boring." I dropped the belt to the floor and straightened, looking down at him. "Remember your place. I don't want to see this happen again." With a dismissive wave, I turned toward the bed. "Get out. You're an eyesore." There was a soft rustle behind me as he rose quietly. "Yes, sir. Rest well." And then he left the master bedroom without another word. The silence that followed was heavy. Then the system's voice broke through. "Congratulations, host. Today's humiliation value meets the quota. Plot progression plus 5%. Current total, 92%. Alert! Main protagonist Alpha Elvin Hawkins has arrived in the city. Estimated first encounter with protagonist bottom Jackie Norton. Tomorrow to..." I stared at the translucent interface floating in the air, my nails digging unconsciously into my palm. It was almost time. I had fallen into this drama boy's love novel 3 years ago. The original me had just forced Jackie Norton into marriage, planning to break him by force. Jackie had fought back, ready to slit his wrists. And that was when I appeared. I'd pried the blade from his hand, coaxed and soothed him, cared for him day and night. his body, his mind, his silence. I'd been terrified that if I failed even once, I'd end up like the original, dead, broken, discarded. Even more afraid that if I looked away, Jackie would really go through with it. Thankfully, things hadn't turned that tragic. A year of quiet care had softened him. He'd begun to trust me, to stop fearing, to live again. And that was when the system appeared. Beep, warning. Host's behavior severely deviates from assigned character profile. If you fail to maintain the persona and advance the narrative, the system will deem the mission failed and erase you completely. From that day on, I had no choice but to wear the mask of a scumbag alpha. I shattered every bit of tenderness I'd shown him, pushed him back into the cold. I dismissed the servants, made him do all the housework alone, cut off his finances, forced him to work to support me. I made the rules crueler, the punishments harsher, crushing whatever pride he had left. I watched as the light in his eyes, the warmth I'd fought so hard to protect, dimmed again, fading into numb submission. And while my heart boiled in its own oil, the system's progress bar crept steadily upward. Plot completion plus 1%. Plot completion plus 3%. Humiliation value met. Tonight it hit 92%. Elvin Hawkins was coming back. Once I completed the last few critical scenes, ending up committed to a mental institution by Jackie's own hands, I'd be free. I should have been glad. But instead, there was this weight pressing down inside my chest. I ran a hand through my hair, frustration clawing at my ribs, and fell face first into the bed. The pillow still carried a faint scent, not the sweet pheromones of an omega, nor the sharp dominance of an alpha. Just that clean, muted trace of soap that belonged only to Jackie Norton. A beta's scent. I drifted off, unaware that from the shadows of the room, someone was watching me with quiet, hungry eyes. Breathing ragged, gaze fixed on me, until finally, silence. When I woke the next morning, sunlight was already spilling through the windows. Jackie Norton was gone. Breakfast was kept warm in the kitchen, as usual. But before I could touch it, the system chimed again. Beep, new mission. Ensure successful collaboration between protagonist top and protagonist bottom. Publicly humiliate Jackie Norton in front of Elvin Hawkins to attract his attention. Reward, plot completion plus 3%. I stared at the words ensure successful collaboration, my jaw tightening. In the original story, this project was supposed to be Jackie's breakthrough. The reason Elvin Hawkins noticed him for the first time. Why the hell did I need to ensure its success? Not daring to hesitate, I grabbed my coat and headed out immediately. On the drive over, the system gave me a brief rundown of the situation. Apparently, there'd been some disagreement over profit distribution and risk allocation. Nothing major. But for some reason, Jackie Norton had chosen this exact moment to grow a spine. He was refusing to give in. I rushed straight to Jackie's company. The receptionist recognized me instantly. Her face flickered with something between panic and dread. She didn't dare stop me and could only watch me march unimpeded to the meeting room doors. Through the half-closed gap, I could see everything inside. Jackie stood in the center, back straight, every line of his profile taut with tension. He was clearly forcing down his emotions. Across from him, lounging in a leather chair, was an alpha in a suit that looked like it cost more than my car. One hand idly tapped the conference table. A lazy smile played at his lips. Elvin Hawkins. His gaze was trained unabashedly on Jackie Norton, sharp, assessing. The kind of look alphas gave anyone who wasn't an omega. Except, there was something else in it too. Something close to interest. I buried the strange twist in my chest and forced my face into a cold scowl. Then shoved the door open. Jackie Norton, I barked. What the hell are you dragging your feet for? The atmosphere shattered on impact. Every pair of eyes turned to me. Jackie whipped around, surprise flickering across his face. Josh, why are you here? Why am I here? I stormed in, ignoring the looks around me, and got right in Jackie's face. If I hadn't shown up, I wouldn't have realized what a failure you are. Mr. Hawkins was kind enough to offer a partnership. That's generosity. You're just a beta running some sad excuse for a company. You think you're actually important. Jackie flinched. It was small, barely there, but I saw it. He bowed his head, lips pressed into a white line, silent. Elvin's tapping fingers stilled. He glanced at me, then at Jackie, who was enduring every word like a statue carved from ice. There was something curious now in Elvin's eyes. I pretended not to notice. Instead, I turned to him with an easy grin. We weren't strangers, exactly. The circles we ran in weren't that big. Not close, but close enough to pull some strings. I dropped into the chair beside him, throwing an arm over his shoulders like we were old drinking buddies. Mr. Hawkins, long time no see, I drawled. You're a generous man, no need to fuss over a nobody like him. He's a beta, doesn't know the rules. I gave a shrug and leaned in closer, voice lowering. But I've looked at the project. It's solid. Do me a favor and give it the green light, yeah? Elvin's eyes slid from my hand on his shoulder to my face. He chuckled, low and slow, but didn't push me off. Instead, he leaned in slightly, letting his alpha pheromones seep into the air. My glands flared in instinctive defense. He noticed and adjusted, subtle and skillful, calming his scent until my body could tolerate it. I shot him a grateful glance, completely unaware that from the outside, we looked like lovers mid-flirt. Elvin's lips curled. His gaze flicked to Jackie, whose face was now pale as paper. Well, Elvin murmured, since Josh is asking, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Though I didn't expect, he paused deliberately. You seem very invested in this beta. The implication was crystal clear. He was testing me. Testing my stance. My relationship with Jackie. In the script, Elvin was supposed to be drawn to Jackie's resilience, his quiet strength. And I, the terrible ex, was there to stir up his protective instincts. I couldn't afford to slip. So I laughed, loud and dismissive. Invested? Don't be ridiculous. I didn't look at Jackie when I said it. He's just a dog I've had for a while. Useless as hell, but occasionally useful for keeping an eye on the door. My eyes slid to Jackie, sharp and full of disgust. If it weren't for the fact that he's still obedient, I'd have kicked him to the curb already. A beta will always be a beta, never good enough for anything that matters. My words hit harder than any belt ever could. I could practically hear them slicing through Jackie's skin. He didn't move. Didn't flinch. Just stood there with his back straight and his mouth clamped shut, trembling ever so slightly. Elvin's gaze bounced between the two of us. Interest lit in his eyes, deeper now. He chuckled. Josh, you haven't changed a bit. Fine. I'll approve it. We'll move forward with the terms Mr. Norton proposed. Relief washed through me, though I kept my expression cocky. Appreciate it, I said, patting his shoulder. Drinks on me next time. The project was finalized just like that. The next morning, Jackie flew out to City B to oversee things personally, with Elvin Hawkins. Through Jackie's assistant, I kept up with his schedule. Lunch with Elvin. Site inspections with Elvin. The gala with Elvin. Apparently, Elvin was taking an active interest in the collaboration. Photos started showing up online. Jackie in a sharp suit, still thin, but looking more composed. Elvin by his side, charming, magnetic. And his hand, subtle, almost accidental, resting at Jackie's lower back. That kind of gesture, from an alpha to a beta, didn't need any further explanation. I flung my phone onto the couch, my chest tight. The system chimed in, its voice perfectly calm. Beep, protagonist romance line confirmed. Significant progress achieved. Final task unlocked. Upon protagonist Bottom's return, host must express extreme anger, publicly humiliate him, and initiate divorce. Reward, plus 3% plot completion. Total will reach 98%. Ending sequence will proceed automatically. Jackie came back on a stormy night. His flight was delayed, and by the time he walked in, it was nearly 11. 2 hours past the curfew. Thunder rumbled overhead. Rain lashed against the windows, relentless. The living room was a mess, empty bottles everywhere. I sat on the couch in the dark, drunk, staring blankly at the TV's flickering blue light. Expressionless. Jackie opened the door and froze. He hadn't expected me there. A flash of surprise crossed his face, but it was quickly replaced with familiar submission. He peeled off his soaked coat, hung it carefully, and walked to the center of the room. Just like always, just like every other time, he reached for his belt and knelt. But I didn't want to punish him tonight. I turned off the television. The room went pitch black, except for lightning streaking in through the windows. In that dim, flickering light, I pulled at my collar until it hung loose around my neck. Then I spoke, voice cold. Had so much fun you forgot where you lived? Thought you'd never come back? Jackie's hand froze midair. He didn't answer. Just stood there, breathing hard. That breath, heavy and raw in the silence, hit something deep in me. Like gasoline to a flame. What? Cat got your tongue? I stood, walking slowly toward him. Or is it that a few days with Elvin Hawkins made you forget who you are? His face was barely visible in the dark. Rain dripped from his hair to the floor. I stopped just in front of him, towering over him. And I smiled, sharp, cruel, and laced with contempt. I heard Elvin Hawkins has taken quite a liking to you, I said, my voice sharp as a blade. Even drove you back to the hotel himself? What's the matter? Did a single alpha's attention make you lose your damn mind? I leaned forward, every word colder than the rain pounding outside. Well, I suppose for someone like you, a mediocre little beta, being noticed by Elvin Hawkins must feel like winning the lottery. My tone darkened. Did he touch you? Did he bite your gland? Him? Does he know that here, in my house, you're nothing more than a dog who comes when called? Jackie finally spoke. No. His voice was steady, painfully clear. He didn't touch me. The pause. No one can touch me. Except you. My heart missed a beat. Lightning flared across the room, flooding his face with a brief, harsh glow, pale skin, wet lashes beaded with water, and eyes like the deepest part of a lake, dark and unreadable. I forced myself to breathe evenly, reaching into the drawer beside the couch. The document inside had been waiting there for days. I pulled it out and threw it at him. Papers scattered midair, drifting to the floor like snow. I drew a long breath and finally said the line I'd practiced over and over. Jackie Norton. Let's get a divorce. The world went silent. Then, thunder cracked, loud enough to rattle the windows. In that flash of pale light, I saw him smile. Faint. Almost gentle. But it sent a chill straight down my spine. Divorce? He echoed, voice low and rough. So my dear husband wants to divorce me. But because of Elvin Hawkins. An awful, instinctive dread clenched at my chest. But the system's voice echoed in my head, urging me on. I steadied myself and met his gaze. Yes, I said coldly. I kept you because I needed a dog to serve me. Now that the dog's disobedient and filthy, why would I keep it? I kicked the papers at his feet. Sign it. Then get out. Jackie didn't even glance down. He just started walking toward me. Slowly. Deliberately. Rain had soaked through his shirt, clinging to his body, outlining the sharp lines of his waist. In the darkness, his eyes gleamed like a predator's, focused, patient, ready to strike. That dread inside me grew stronger. I instinctively stepped back. What are you doing? Jackie Norton, I said sign it and leave. What am I doing? His voice was low, rasping, dangerous. You've taught me for so long, haven't you? How to serve. How to obey. How to be a good dog. He advanced step by step, and for the first time, I found myself backing away. My knees hit the edge of the couch. I stumbled and fell onto it. Jackie seized the moment, leaning in, bracing his arms on either side of me, trapping me beneath his shadow. Now the master doesn't want me anymore? His breath brushed against my skin, hot and calm. Too late. He grabbed my wrists. The strength in that grip didn't belong to the man I'd spent years dominating. The same belt I'd used to punish him now wrapped tight around my hands, merciless, inescapable. Let go of me. Jackie Norton. You're fucking insane. My voice broke, fury and panic tangled together. I let my pheromones surge, the pure, oppressive dominance of an alpha flooding the room. It hit like a storm, intense enough to crush most omegas to their knees, to make even another alpha tremble. But Jackie Norton was a beta. Betas couldn't sense pheromones. Couldn't be subdued by them. He didn't even blink. My power meant nothing. Desperation clawed through me. I screamed for the system in my head, but there was only silence. Cold terror sank its teeth into my chest. Jackie's fingers brushed the back of my neck. Cold. Precise. My gland tightened instinctively. He chuckled softly, and before I could react, he leaned down and bit. Pain exploded behind my skull. His teeth sank deep into the fragile gland, and a raw, invasive heat ripped through me. Every muscle went slack. My pheromones broke apart, scattering, wild and useless. I tried to move, to push him off, but my strength drained away like water. I drew in one trembling breath, voice barely holding together. Let go. Jackie, what the hell are you doing? He lifted his head at last. In the flicker of lightning, I saw his lips smeared with blood, my blood. And that smile, unholy, beautiful, terrifying. I froze. Then his knee forced its way between mine. Effortless. Unrelenting. He leaned in close, his voice a low murmur against my ear. What am I doing? His breath was scorching. You don't know, master? An alpha's body can be trained again. His hands slid down, resting against my stomach. When this place, he whispered, almost tender, is carrying my child, you won't ever think about leaving again. When I woke, the sun was setting. Pain hit first, deep, bone-aching, unbearable. Every nerve screamed as I opened my eyes. Memories flooded back. His voice, the lightning, the bite, the violation. The swelling at my nape throbbed with every heartbeat, and the foreign weight inside me made me sick. Enough had been claimed by a beta. The thought was absurd, blasphemous. Rage surged up, hot and wild. I slammed my fists down, and metal clinked. I froze. Chains. Thin gold ones, looped loosely around my wrists and ankles. Not tight enough to hurt, but tight enough to keep me from going anywhere. The sound drew him in. Jackie Norton opened the door. You're awake, he said softly. He'd changed clothes, simple homeware, hair falling gently over his forehead. He looked harmless. Gentle even. You've been asleep all day, he said, setting a tray on the bedside table. Eat something first. He scooped up a spoonful of porridge, blew on it, and brought it toward my lips. I turned my face away. Untie me. I'll eat myself. Jackie's hand paused midair. His eyes darkened slightly, but when he looked back at me, his voice was calm again. You're not ready to move yet, he said quietly. You need rest. I can't. The gentleness of his tone didn't disguise the command in his words. I glared at him, seething. But my body was starving. And so damn weak. I hesitated for a long time, but in the end, I lost to the smell of the food. Reluctantly, I opened my mouth and swallowed the first spoonful of warm porridge. Once I'd tasted that first bite, the rest came easier. When I finally finished, strength slowly returned to my body. I lifted my wrist, the chain clinking faintly, and tried to reason with him. Jackie Norton, what you're doing is illegal imprisonment. It's against the law. He was bent over, collecting the dishes. The moment I spoke, his hand paused midair. He looked up at me, confusion flickering in his gaze. Against the law, he repeated softly. Then tell me, when you ordered me around like a servant, when you used that belt to punish me again and again, was that legal? My throat tightened. Of course it wasn't. By any definition, it was abuse. But back then, the system had shielded me. Everything labeled for the sake of the plot was conveniently overlooked by this world. Now that the system had gone silent, all those buried sins had resurfaced, turned into weapons in Jackie's hands. That's different, I said sharply, grasping at authority that no longer meant anything. I was. What? He set the bowl down, leaned in close, fingers tracing the chain resting against my collarbone. Training me? Taming me? I couldn't say a word. He didn't seem to mind my silence. After checking that the chain was secure, he straightened up again. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Everything's fine now. We'll live well together, as long as you don't try to run. He walked to the door, then stopped. You know I can find you, right? And you wouldn't want anyone to see you like this, would you? The door clicked shut behind him. I lay there, staring blankly at the ornate crystal chandelier above me, trying once more to summon the system. Nothing. Silence. I closed my eyes. Fine. So be it. Food appeared when I was hungry, someone cleaned up after me, and I didn't even have to keep up the plot. Maybe that wasn't so bad. For the next few days, Jackie took care of me in every possible way. Delicate meals, perfect room temperature, even carrying me to the bathroom so I wouldn't have to walk. Whatever I wanted, no matter how unreasonable, he tried to give it to me. Everything except freedom. The only time things went wrong was at night. After enough sleepless, breathless nights, I began to understand. When Jackie said he'd retrain my body, make me capable of carrying a child, he hadn't been joking. One evening, after I was already half conscious from exhaustion, his phone rang. He stepped out onto the balcony to answer, his voice low and calm. When he came back, his brow was slightly furrowed. There's an issue at the company, he said, brushing my hair from my forehead with gentle fingers. I need to go handle it. I'll be back in 2 hours at most. I mumbled something incoherent, already drifting off. Jackie's gaze lingered on me. Then he bent down, pressing a soft but unmistakably possessive kiss to my lips. Be good, he murmured, fingertips grazing the chain around my neck. Don't make me worry. And no matter what happens, don't take it off. Then he left, slowly, reluctantly, until the door locked behind him. I lay still. 1 minute. Sleep was just beginning to pull me under when a familiar voice finally broke the silence. Beep. Connection restored. Warning. World line deviation critical. Emergency task initiated. Escape containment and return to main narrative path. Every trace of drowsiness vanished. I didn't respond immediately. Where the hell have you been? I demanded. There was a faint buzz in the static before the system answered, its mechanical tone slightly distorted. Encountered unknown interference. Forced into sleep mode. Preliminary analysis suggests the interference source is linked to fluctuations in world rules. Host. Current deviation has reached a critical threshold. Jackie Norton's actions now pose a direct threat to the core storyline. You must escape. Escape? Easy for you to say. I laughed bitterly. Do you see the state I'm in? And while we're at it, would you like to explain what's going on with Jackie? In the original story, he didn't kidnap or mark his alpha ex-husband. Are you sure this world is just a novel? I paused. Or have you been hiding something from me? For the first time, the system hesitated. Host lacks authorization for higher-level data. Focus on stabilizing the narrative. What if I refuse? This time, the silence stretched, the air humming faintly with static. Warning. Refusal will trigger primary disciplinary measures. Penalty. Electric correction. Level 2. My stomach dropped. I knew what that meant. The first day I'd been bound to the system, I'd refused to hurt Jackie, and it had shocked me so hard I nearly died. That had only been level 1. I shut my eyes and clenched my teeth. But the pain didn't come. Instead, the system's voice spoke again, calm, almost coaxing. Stop resisting, host. Accept the task, and the punishment will cease immediately. I froze. Images flashed behind my eyes, Jackie's unnatural calm, the interference, the system's panic. Something clicked. My pulse quickened. I forced my tone into trembling surrender. Wait, don't. I'll do it. I'll follow the task, just stop. Task accepted. Penalty terminated. Wise decision. The main alpha has sensed something abnormal. He will investigate soon. You must escape before he arrives. Then it went silent again. A moment later, I heard the faint turn of the lock, followed by footsteps. Darling, Jackie called softly as the door opened. I'm home. The system vanished once more. In its place came Elvin Hawkins, persistent, suspicious, and impossible to ignore. At first, he only called, over and over, asking about me. When every call was brushed off, he began requesting meetings. Each time, Jackie refused him, saying I wasn't well enough. Until one afternoon, Elvin lost his patience. I heard the low growl of an engine outside, followed by the doorbell. Jackie stiffened. I felt it immediately, the tension in his body as he held me in his arms. He loosened his grip, brushed my hair back, and whispered, "Stay here. Don't make a sound. I'll handle it." He checked the chains around my wrists and ankles, tugged to make sure they were secure, then walked out of the room. Through the closed door and the distance between us, I held my breath, listening to every sound that came from downstairs. "Jackie, tell me, what the hell happened to Josh? Why hasn't he shown his face in so long?" Elvin Hawkins' voice was sharper than usual, layered with the authority that only an alpha could carry. Jackie remained calm as always. "Mr. Hawkins, I've already explained. Josh isn't feeling well. He needs rest. It's not convenient for him to see anyone right now." "Rest?" Elvin's tone rose. "What kind of illness needs that much rest? He can't even pick up the phone." He took a step closer, voice turning accusatory. "Don't think I don't know what's going on between you two. After everything he did to you before, you expect me to believe." "Mr. Hawkins." Jackie's voice cut through, cool and even. "This is a private matter. Our family matter." "Family matter?" Elvin's tone sharpened into anger. "It looks more like you've locked him up." His pheromones surged, filling the air with that oppressive alpha dominance. Even from upstairs, I could feel it, a suffocating weight pressing down. The atmosphere was electric, ready to explode. And then, the system's voice pierced the tension like a siren. "Now's your chance. Lure Elvin Hawkins upstairs. This is your best opportunity to escape." Its mechanical urgency grated against my skull. I didn't move. Instead, I asked casually, "Where the hell were you these past 2 days?" "Irrelevant. Host, follow the plan. Quickly." "Oh, so you've just been hiding," I murmured under my breath, "lurking in some corner of my mind, spying on me?" "Warning. Resistance detected. Initiating forced protocol, level 3 electric correction, engaged." The pain that followed wasn't as explosive as before, but deeper, finer, like thousands of needles threading through my brain. Sweat broke across my forehead. The tremor in my hands made the chain at my wrist jingle faintly. That faint sound was all it took. Downstairs, the argument stopped cold. Then came the rapid thud of footsteps. Up the stairs, closer, faster. The door burst open. Elvin Hawkins stood in the doorway, his expression thunderous. Jackie followed close behind, calm but with something sharp in his eyes. "Perfect. Now's the time. Call for help. Go with Elvin Hawkins. Get out of there." The system's voice was nearly frantic. But before I could react, Jackie spoke first. "Trying to run?" he said softly. "It's too late." His eyes gleamed with something I'd never seen before, feral, knowing. And then his gaze shifted, not to me, but to something deeper, straight into my mind. "Come out," he said coldly. "You parasite hiding in his head, I've found you." For a split second, the system faltered. Then chaos. "Warning. Critical deviation detected. Immediate correction protocol initiated." Pain, unlike anything before, exploded through me. It was as if my very soul was being torn apart. I screamed, clutching my head, body convulsing uncontrollably. "Josh!" Jackie's voice was raw with panic. He rushed forward, catching me before I could collapse completely. He turned, shouting into the air, or rather, at the invisible thing that lived inside my mind. "Get out of him!" His voice cracked like thunder. "Leave him alone." The system's tone warped, trembling with static but still merciless. "Inferior life form cannot disrupt system function. Target identified, Jackie Norton. Core anomaly confirmed. Threat level, maximum. Initiating emergency purge protocol. A surge of cold, destructive energy gathered inside my skull, aimed directly at Jackie. Time seemed to stop. None of the rules, none of the missions mattered anymore. Only one thought remained. I won't let it hurt him. "No!" I shouted with everything I had, against the pain, against the system itself. The word ripped out of me like a weapon. At the same time, Jackie's body tensed. He must have felt it, the killing intent directed at him. His eyes hardened. And then he did the last thing I expected. He didn't let go. He bit me again. This time, it wasn't a mark. It was a declaration of war. A violent, possessive, primal act that tore through every restraint. Pain and something deeper, something that felt like the world fracturing, flooded through me. And then everything changed. From the point where his teeth sank into my gland, a heat burst outward, a foreign, burning power surging up through me, straight into the core of the system lodged in my brain. Unknown energy surge detected. Rule conflict, critical, unable to parse. System core, damage ZZZ, interference, unstable. The mechanical voice broke apart, splintered by static, fading in and out like a dying radio. Connection lost. Reconnect. Failed. The energy inside me roared, then dissipated, like a tide retreating. Final log, recording the coordinates, ZZZT, system offline. The last words faded into nothing. Then silence. True, complete silence. The thing that had haunted me for 3 years, the voice that had watched me, controlled me, punished me, was gone. I collapsed against Jackie's chest, gasping, drenched in sweat. My mind was blank, hollowed out, the only thing left a dizzy, fragile relief. Jackie released my gland. His lips were stained red, his eyes still fierce, wild with something unspent. "Are you okay?" he asked hoarsely. "Is it gone?" I nodded weakly. "I think so. I can't feel it anymore." The tension drained from his body. He exhaled, long and deep, and buried his face in my neck. His arms tightened around me, as if to fuse me into himself. "It's over," he whispered. His voice trembled just slightly. "It's finally over." Then, as if that single sentence emptied him completely, he went limp and collapsed. My heart lurched. Before I could move, Elvin stepped forward, catching Jackie's body and lowering him onto the bed. "Don't worry," Elvin said evenly. "He's just unconscious. Overexertion." That was when I realized he'd seen everything. My mind spun, racing to make sense of it. You knew." Elvin nodded once. "Yes." "Then today, this whole thing was planned?" "Yes." He met my eyes. "To be precise," Jackie came to me. "He asked for my help, to draw that thing out of you." I stared at him, speechless. "So you too?" Footsteps interrupted me. A team of doctors entered, pushing in strange medical equipment. Elvin glanced at them, then turned back to me. "For now, your only job is to rest. Both of you." He paused, voice lowering. "And when he wakes up, you can ask him the rest yourself." He took a step toward the door, then stopped. "One more thing," he said quietly. "Tell him, this time I lost." Jackie didn't wake for 3 days. I'd been half dozing in a chair by his bed when I heard the faint rustle of sheets. His skin was still pale, but his eyes, clear now, were open, watching me. "You're awake." I immediately stood up, pouring him a glass of water. "Drink some first. I'll have someone make you porridge, it'll be up soon." He nodded obediently, watching me quietly as I took care of everything. When the call was done, silence fell over the room like a weight. I took a slow breath, turned to meet his gaze. "You're not going to explain anything?" "Explain what?" he asked. "For starters, when did you realize something was wrong?" He didn't hesitate. "The moment I first saw you." I froze. I had always assumed Jackie Norton figured it out eventually, but from the very beginning? He gave a faint smile. "From the second you took that knife out of my hand, the way you awkwardly tried to care for me, I knew you weren't him. There was nothing in his eyes but filth and desire. But you were different." As he spoke, his fingers reached out, brushing the corner of my eye. "You'll never know just how beautiful your eyes are. Fear, confusion, and that kindness you tried so desperately to hide. At first, I thought you had ulterior motives. I waited for the mask to slip. But then you spent a whole year taking care of me, never sleeping through the night, afraid I'd do something stupid the moment you let me out of your sight. I kept wondering what kind of soul had taken over my husband's body. His voice shifted. But then, you started to change. You got harsher. Meaner. You yelled more. You treated me like a servant. But you were terrible at pretending, Josh. No matter how carefully you controlled the force behind every hit, your eyes always gave you away. Every time you insulted me, you were the first to frown. I opened my mouth but couldn't speak. All my carefully constructed facades, he had seen through them from the start. I've been watching. Waiting. I needed to figure out what was forcing you to act this way. So all your obedience, your tolerance, was just an act? Not entirely, he said, shaking his head. For a moment, his eyes softened. I did enjoy taking care of you. I did cling to those glimpses of warmth you accidentally let slip. But more than anything, I was gathering strength, searching for a way to destroy it. I knew that one day, it would try to take you from me. So I had to be ready. Ready by marking me? Chaining me up. It was the most effective method, wasn't it? His fingers grazed the chain at my neck. Marking you left my scent on you. That disrupted the system's link to your mind. As for the chains, he paused. His voice was low, laced with obsession. It was to keep you from being taken away before I was ready. Or worse, from doing something reckless. The full truth unfurled in front of me, impossible to deny. And Jackie looked at me with eyes that no longer held anything back. There was fire there. 3 years of silence. Of waiting. Of planning. Of love so desperate it had twisted into possession. And I realized then, the pain, the humiliation, the control I thought was meant to break me, had always been rooted in love. A terrifying, all-consuming kind. But love nonetheless. I steadied myself and asked the final question. How did you know how to destroy the system? He paused, then spoke with rare honesty. Truthfully? I didn't. Not until the very end. I was betting on a theory that the system operated on a kind of signal and that the alpha gland, which houses both pheromones and psychic energy, could disrupt it. I gambled that if I forced my will into your gland, using the same source that links us to this world, I could break its connection to you. But after the interference, it went into hiding. I couldn't find it. That's why I brought Elvin into the plan. I needed to force it out and hid it while it was exposed. He said it so plainly, but the risk was monumental. If he had guessed wrong, we both could have died in the system's backlash. You're insane, I whispered, heart pounding. He smiled faintly. Yeah, I know. His fingers brushed the mark on my neck. His gaze burned. Gentle. Possessive. Unshakably sincere. The day you pulled me out of hell and then pushed me right back in, I lost my mind, Josh. I can't be without you. Not in any form. He paused, then asked the question he'd been holding in since the system disappeared. Now that the thing controlling you is gone, do you still want a divorce? Do you still want to leave me? All the rules were gone. The system was silent. The plot shattered. And for the first time, I could decide for myself. I looked into his eyes, saw my pale reflection in them, and everything else he tried and failed to hide. The tension, the hope, the obsessive fear. I said nothing for a while. Then I tilted my chin, slow and deliberate. Before you ask that kind of question, shouldn't you take the chains off me first? He froze, breath hitching, though his face remained composed. Sorry, darling. I forgot. The chain came off at last. I rubbed my wrist, stood from the bed, and walked step by step toward the door. My fingers brushed the handle. I turned it, opened the door. Jackie stopped breathing. I chuckled softly, bent down, picked up the breakfast tray, turned back around. His shoulders dropped. And finally he smiled. You're not leaving, he said. Right. I stirred the porridge without looking at him. You never really planned to let me leave, did you? Then I looked up, directly into his eyes. If you really wanted me to go, you could have handed the key to Elvin while you were unconscious. Let him unchain me. But you didn't. In fact, if I hadn't said anything, you wouldn't have released me at all. If I tried to leave today, you'd probably lock me up in some remote villa, or maybe a basement. Am I wrong? He didn't answer, but the flicker of obsession in his eyes said enough. I put the bowl down, then reached out, grabbing his jaw, forcing him to look at me. Jackie Norton, did you forget? Before the system, we spent a whole year together, for real. I know you better than you think. If I wanted to leave, I would have done it long ago. But I didn't. And now I'm staying. Not because of your chains. Not because I'm scared of you. But because of this. I released his chin and tapped his chest. 3 years ago, I dragged a shattered man out of hell. Not so I could watch him get replaced by someone unhinged. I want you, Jackie Norton. The man who, even after being discarded by me and the world, still loved me like a fool. The room held its breath. His throat bobbed. When he spoke, his voice was hoarse beyond recognition. I always have been. No, you haven't. I leaned in, so close our noses nearly touched. You've hidden that part of yourself, masked it with obedience, while quietly scheming how to drag me into your prison with you. Well, the cage is open now. And I'm giving you 2 choices. First, I said, holding his gaze, keep playing the lunatic. Lock me up wherever you've planned. Some basement, some villa, doesn't matter. And we'll watch ourselves rot together, bleeding our love dry until nothing's left. Second, I paused, looking deeper into him. Throw away the chain. And learn to trust me. Trust that even without a system manipulating me, without shackles binding me, I'll still stay. At my words, his fingers clenched the bedsheets so tightly his knuckles turned white. Like a man drowning, suddenly handed something to hold on to. Can you promise me that? He asked, voice trembling. No. I didn't hesitate. Just like I can't promise you won't lose your mind again someday. I'm not rejecting your possessiveness, Jackie. I get it, it's your way of loving me. But, I sighed, looking straight into his eyes. Real relationships are built on trust and choice, not total control. And I touched the fading mark on my neck. Being chained up really hurt. Jackie fell into silence. The choice is yours. I straightened up and pressed the warm bowl of porridge into his hands. For now, then rest. I'm not going anywhere until you decide. Without waiting for a response, I turned and walked into the bathroom, closing the door behind me. I leaned against it, listening. Silence. A breath, low and shaky, like someone barely holding in a sob, followed by the soft clink of a porcelain spoon hitting a bowl. He'd chosen to eat. I closed my eyes and let out a long breath. This might be harder than defeating the system. Destroying a program just took one reckless gamble. But healing a person, that would take patience, endless, exhausting patience. By the time I finished my shower, the bowl was empty. Jackie was propped up against the headboard, still pale but steadier somehow. He watched me quietly as I walked out. I lifted the blanket and lay beside him, turning so my back faced him. Sleep. He stiffened behind me. Then slowly, carefully, his warm body shifted closer, wrapping his arm around my waist. Tentative. Hesitant. I didn't push him away. In the darkness, I felt his breath graze the back of my neck, land right where the bite still ached faintly. Darling. Josh. Does it still hurt? What do you think? He was silent for a while. Then a kiss, soft as a feather, pressed against the bite mark. I'm sorry, he whispered. And, thank you. Thank you for giving him a choice. I didn't answer. Just leaned back a little, closer to him. That was the signal. His arm tightened around me. His face buried into the space between my shoulder blades, and he let out a long, contented sigh. I knew this wasn't the end. His obsession wouldn't vanish overnight. And the scars the system left in me would take time to fade. But tonight, the chain was gone. And that was enough. The rest? Curled against him, I nuzzled gently. We had time now, to talk, to heal. What came next, I didn't know. But I knew one thing. From this moment on, there was no system, no script. Every bit of love, anger, desire, or pain, it belonged to us. And us alone. The end.
Thanks for stopping by. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.